Hey guys, I'm Rich from NeoWin. Today we're unboxing Huawei's MateBook E. As you can see, the box is a little banged up, so we can guess that this has probably been reviewed by someone else already. If you've seen a video with review unit number 4286 or whatever this is, let me know. I'd love to meet them. So, obviously, we have a generic box inside the sleeve. Now, I reviewed Huawei's MateBook last year, and I reviewed the MateBook X this year. So, let's just break down the different models before we dive in. Now, this was the MateBook last year, and the MateBook E is the successor to this device. Okay, it's a tablet, standard Windows 10 tablet. In fact, when I reviewed it, I thought it was a wonderful tablet, although I thought it was terrible as a convertible. I don't like keys that aren't islanded, and you can't really use it with a different keyboard because once you take it off the folio, you now have no stand. So you can't just use a Bluetooth keyboard because there you go. All right, so it used a Core M3 processor, although it was available in M5 and M7 variants. And then there was the MateBook X, which came out alongside the MateBook E, which the MateBook E is the direct successor to the machine I just showed you. The MateBook X is Ultrabooks. It's a laptop, no touchscreen, super thin, super light, wonderful machine. Even with the Core i7, there's no fan. It has Dolby Atmos. That was the flagship of the range. And then there was the MateBook D, which is a 15-inch, kind of a mid-range. But it also has the Dolby Atmos, but no USB-C. All right, so as we can see, the keyboard cover is the same brownish, leatherish thing that I'm not a huge fan of, but that's okay. They added a kickstand, which I think is wonderful, because another thing about that folio case is that you couldn't adjust the viewing angle, all right? And another thing that they did, islanded keys. Those were my two biggest complaints about the MateBook last year, and that's what they fixed this year. So I was really excited about that, and I really wanted to get my hands on this to review, even though I already got to review the MateBook X, which is, like I said, a wonderful machine. Okay, so we have some cables in here. We have micro USB to USB Type-C. We have, this is the new Mate dock. Okay, so I'm not a fan of the new Mate dock. So let's, all right, before I go into the Mate dock, let's see what else is in here. This should be just one USB Type-C to Type-C cable. All right, and then we'll have the power adapter, which Huawei told me that this power adapter should adapt to varying amounts of usage. So if you're charging your PC with it, it will provide more power than if you're charging your phone with it, which is pretty cool because I kind of hate the fact that I have to have multiple USB Type-C chargers for my plethora of USB Type-C devices. All right, so I got the Mate Dock 2.0 over here. So the big benefit with the Mate Dock 2.0 is that it comes with every device, and they were pretty excited to tell me that. So I had the first one here, which also had that sort of brownish, leatherish case that goes around. I got rid of it. I actually still have it somewhere, but there was a pen loop on there also. So over here, we have two USB Type-A ports. And as you can see, the new one only has one. HDMI on both, VGA on both, all right, and USB Type-C over here, which we have USB Type-C, and we have Ethernet. We can use this as a wired network, so we don't have that on the new dock. And I've been using the new Mate dock, and you can see I dove into it a little bit when I did the MateBook X review, because they sent me one with that too. But like I said, the biggest benefit that you're going to find with it is that it comes with the device, where it was a standalone accessory before. I think it was like $150 or something. All right, so now this has a 1440p display. It's 6.9 millimeters thick, which should be the same as it was last year. Now, the process... Whoa, what is it running here? Windows System Assessment Tool. Cool. All right, whatever. So the processor options are Core M3 or i5 Y series. Now, if you're not familiar with the Y series, here's where it gets fun. So last year's MateBook used 6th generation Skylake processors, and part of Skylake was Core M3, M5, and M7. And the selling point to that, and Broadwell just had 5th generation Broadwell just had Core M, and the selling point was that you can now have fanless Core PCs. Okay, and they were so efficient that you didn't need to have a fan. Then you could have these super thin and light devices. So, and obviously M5 and M7 were the more powerful variants. So then, when Kaby Lake came around, Intel said, we're not making M5 and M7. We're keeping M3, but we're not making M5 and M7 anymore. Now we just have i5 and i7. So it sounds like you're getting a Core i7 or an i5, but you're not. So you're getting the Core i5 Y series. Now, so obviously make no mistakes, this is the rebranded Core M5. All right, we got 8 gigs of RAM in here, which last year's model did come with 8 gigs of RAM, but there was also a 4 gig of RAM variant, so this is going to be a little more powerful than the one I reviewed last year. So I'm excited about it. I'm really excited. They fixed the things that I really didn't like about last year's MateBook. So you can see from the app selection there that it has Dolby Atmos. It should support the Mate Pen, which I have here, which. There we go. Yeah, it works. All right. And it has a laser pointer, too, on it, which, by the way, though, this did not come with the Mate Pen. So it is going to be a separate accessory if you want one. So with the old MateBook, I'm just going to show it a little bit, and we'll boot it up. We can see we just had 2 viewing angles here. And it's just, this sticks to the back. It's a magnet. And that was kind of a pain because if you had to set it up. Okay, so I missed this originally, but it does come with the Mate Pen, alright? There doesn't seem to be any changes from last year's model. In fact, I will probably get these two confused at some point and mix them up. It charges via micro USB, which is probably why that USB Type-C to micro USB cable comes with it, so you can charge it from the device, which is pretty cool. But yeah, laser pointer, which, I mean, when you try to, let me tell you something. You try to review a device with a laser pointer and tell me that you won't get distracted because, yeah. So, I mean, and that's another thing about this device is that it's the total package, right? The last year's model just came with the tablet, so you had to buy the Portfolio keyboard, the Mate Pen, and the Mate Dock separately. So now, at least in the US, all models should come with all of that. So if we just take a look, we've got our USB Type-C port over here, volume rocker, and fingerprint reader up here. The design is mostly just the same as last year. Power button, and the headphone/microphone jack up here, and input ports on the bottom. Now, this is something that's going to piss off some people, right? So one thing that you'll notice is that those 3 pins that I just showed you are not. That's the one design change from last year. All right, this used different pins. So if you've got last year's MateBook and you were looking at this stuff and you're like, hey, you know, that new keyboard looks pretty cool. I should get it for my MateBook. You can't. It won't fit. This uses different connectors. All right, so that's it is what it is on that. All right, so we can also see, by the way, the bezels are about the same size. That hasn't changed, but yeah, the viewing angle, it's not even a very good magnet because you could just kind of bump into it, and there it goes, right? And it disconnects from the keyboard and whatever. So, yeah, these issues have been fixed, and it's phenomenal. So I can't wait to do more with it. I wish they used the U series processor, which is the typical dual-core Core i5 or i7 that you'll find in a laptop. And although, by the way, Intel's 8th generation U series chips are going to be quad-core, so there's a lot more performance coming out of those. But you get U series chips in, say, a Obviously the MateBook X has a U-Series chip without a fan. The Surface Pro has U-Series. So I'd like to see that, but I think for this type of machine, it might work because it's still a really great tablet. I didn't like using it as a laptop last year, but I mean, as far as Windows 10 tablets go, this is a really great job. So we'll have more on this in the coming weeks. And yeah, it'll be interesting because I have the experience with last year's model, and I love the way that they improved it so far. Anyway, guys, I'm Rich from NeoWin. Have a great night.